to like kind of where you started from, your roots, okay? Hey, we're live. This is Dr. Matt, and you are
Okay.
in for a huge treat getting to know Dr. Matt. And what you're not seeing is his other half, Jessica, who I'm so thankful I have gotten to know in the boot camp as well. Matt posted a picture of her from their Valentines, and Matt, you done good, my friend. She's a hottie.
She is.
And I know her heart is as beautiful as what we see on the outside. So let's just dive in and let's tell your amazing story from where you started from to where you are now. And one of the reasons I'm asking Matt to share his story is, I think sometimes it's easy to look at really successful people, and Matt is a very successful doctor, and to go, oh, it must be easy for him. It must be his upbringing. It must be that Ivy League training. It must be all of these things. So Matt, take us back to the beginning.
All right. So far back as a little kid,
Yeah.
family situation wasn't ideal. Obviously, my parents split up, and I mean, my mom was awesome. I absolutely love her. She passed away 5 years ago, but definitely struggled. We were definitely on the poor end of things. We lost our house. I lived out of my car for 4 years, trying to work as through high school and then beginning at college until I figured out where I was going to go. And it was a split in hairs and try to get into school or we go to the military. And luckily, I got into SUNY Cortland, and I went from there with a bachelor's in applied kinesiology. And I was supposed to be a strength and conditioning coach, but I've been going to chiropractor since I was 12. So I always wanted to do it, but didn't think I had the capability to do so. You know what I mean? So yeah, I pushed myself. I went back to my childhood chiropractor. I told him what I was going to do, and he kind of told me the truth. He goes, "I think you're short selling yourself. You know, I could tell that you always want to do this." And I said, "It's true. I just never thought it." He goes, "You can do it. Just do it. Apply." And I did my best. I applied. I got in. I had a bunch of mentors along the way, and yeah. So when you get out of school, you're excited. You think I graduated, everything's going to be all fine and dandy, and then you get in the real world, and it's slap in the face of kind of still at the bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean? So climbing up the ladder from absolutely nothing to I graduated, moved to a new state. I was from New York. I moved to North Carolina with my wife because I wanted to leave New York. I knew reimbursement is terrible. I didn't want to be there. I had negative history there, so I just wanted to leave it all together. So we started over and didn't have enough money to open my own practice, so I started as associateship, and I did really, really well in my first office. It was a sports-based office. We took care of a lot of NASCAR rehab. We saw everyone under the sun, and I grew pretty quickly, and I had to leave that. I remember this bad situation that doctor was illegally billing, so I had to really just jump ship. I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. And I jumped into another one that was a sports office, but they were just not coordinated. I mean, it was treating high-end athletes supposed to be for, it was treating NFL players, Olympic athletes, but the clinic wasn't organized, and I felt so lost. I was ready to give up on the profession. I was like, this is done. I don't even know why I did this. I wasted so much money. I'm in debt. You know, it was just mind-boggling, sitting on the stairs trying to figure out my life. You know.
So I want
Um,
to just stop there for a second, if we can. Let's go back to when you were like in the throes of like chiropractic, like college military. What things do you remember telling yourself that kept you moving forward despite the chaos? Do you remember?
I really think that was built into my own being. I didn't know. I was very quiet, anxiety-ridden, shy child, just because everything that went on at home, I didn't want anyone to know. So I don't know. I always had this back in my head. My mom always told me to keep doing what you love to do, try to be successful. Like she wasn't battering me about it at all, but she just definitely wanted better for me than what she could provide. But I remember jobs along the way. If I could think back now, like even through high school, I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and during high school I had a construction job, and I had this one guy. His name was Gene. He was 83 years old, still working, and he was right before I was leaving. To go back to school, and he like grabbed me by the shirt and he's like, go to school and figure out something you want to do, because you don't want to be 83 years old trying to just make pennies so you can pay for your mortgage. You know what I mean? Because you want to be done by this, do something, be successful. And I had that play in the back of my head. I really didn't realize it until a few years ago. So I kept telling myself subconsciously that you need to do something here, you know?
I want to speed bump that, because how many times we go throughout the day and we get super busy, and yet I think God sets up appointments for us all day long to make an impact, like Jean did in your life.
Yeah.
That there's someone that shows up, and God like nudges us and says, say something, encourage them, share your story, give a smile, whatever. And it's really easy when we're caught up in our habitual thinking of like, no one wants to hear from you, like the negative talk, right?
Right.
Versus like really and truly BJ's quote of, we never know how far thinking something we may think, say, or do today will in fact impact the lives of millions tomorrow. So Gene said just those few things. Like, I'm sure when he got nudged, there was maybe that split second where he thought, no, this kid doesn't want to hear from me. And he did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I really and truly see that those who continue to impact the world, when the nudge happens, we act on it. Like, we don't second guess it. We don't wait. We act on it. And I just got to give Matt kudos too. Like, when anything in the boot camp, like, hey, Matt, this is going to make a difference. So he just jumps in and does it. And he's going to tell you about what that's resulted in his first year in practice. But I want to invite everyone to create this space, and more so to create the vibration in your life that when you get nudged, act on it. Like, Nate never nudges at the wrong time, right? Like, I don't heal from a cut today that I'm going to get tomorrow. I heal in the exact right amount at the exact right time. And Nate, in God leading from our heart, gives us those nudges all day long to all of us. But we have to be in a flow and be willing to recognize and act on them. And that can become habit. Like, they'll show up more often, or you'll hear them more often when you keep taking steps forward when they nudge. So go ahead.
Right. So let's recap. Right before I opened up, you said first year. So I always knew I didn't want to be an associate forever. I wanted to own my own business. I didn't know how to do it. I was lost. And really, you're the one that really pushed me over that ledge. And your module 1 really resonated with me, because I was looking at entrepreneurs for a long period of time, just wondering, how do I do this? How do I do this? And it's always that scare tactic of like, I can't do it because no one else I know has ever done it before. You know what I mean? So it's, how do we get the funding? How do we do it? I've never done this before. And it's just, you rattle in your brain, constantly putting yourself down. So I don't remember how we connected and how I found you. I can't think back that far to how we made the connection, but once I talked to you, I mean,
yeah, through Tim Shaw.
Oh, it was Tim Shaw. Yeah. So he's one of my mentors. Yeah. And he told me about you. And then that's how I stumbled upon it. I love Tim. He's a big influence in my life. Yeah. He's like a father to me. He's awesome. But yeah, you're the one that you kind of saw the light in me that I wanted to do it. Just straight up told me to do it. And I was kind of in shock of like, all right, I got to do it. I didn't know how I did it, but yeah, we started with absolutely nothing. So I saved every dollar, just the way I grew up. I was very good at saving. So I saved every dollar I possibly could. And I only went to 2 banks. I heard horror stories of people going to 12, 13 banks. But I went to my second one. I had connections I made. We got an SBA loan. And I'm like, this is actually happening. They told me how much I needed to contribute, and I did. And then I bought everything else in my office cash, so I don't have to have any payments. Bought it all, invested everything I had in it. We were very due diligent. I couldn't believe that we had no business experience, because when we found a space, we finagled everything down to, we had our the parking lot owner, the actual building owner, paid for half my build out. We got really, really low overhead right to start off, and we just trucked along. So we had a whole build out and everything ready, set on doors open in less than 5 months from when I talked to you until we started. Opening was 5 months, and then first month we covered the overhead. We broke even pretty much, but I was happy about that. And then we doubled it each month for the first 3 months. And then we really were starting to rock and roll. We weren't doing fantastic, but I mean, we're definitely doing better than expected. I think COVID happened. Really, we only had a down month for April. April, we still made money. We still covered the overhead and made a little extra. And at that point, I actually just started paying myself that month. I saved up as much as I could in our business savings, so that way I could, secure myself a little bit for a few months. And then I started paying myself. And yeah, April was a little dip down, and then May, people were afraid to go to the ERs and their primary care, so our business started booming. And we had a whole summer we just excelled. We hit our 2-year goals before October, and then yeah, we just kept going from there. Just keep on growing. That's all we're doing. So we had even in-house referrals. We had over 100. I think it was 115 in-house referrals just the first year. Yeah, we our goal was to try to collect at least 150 grand for the year total for the office, and I think we excelled. We got like 265 for the whole first year, which was fantastic. With a low overhead we're keeping, we did it right. I ran the whole office by myself until I believe March, and then we hired a part-time employee. So she's still my CA at the front. I'm still running the afternoons by myself, but we're at the point now where I'm maxed out, doing all the work myself in the evening. So we're looking for another CA. We just hired another massage therapist. So my wife's a therapist right now. We just hired somebody else to take all our evening hours. So we have full-time massage therapy now. So I mean, we're just keep tackling. I'm a big goal setter. So ever since I was a little kid, my mom engraved that in my head. She gave me a list. She said, get all this done before I get home. I don't care how you do it, when you do it, just get it done before I get home. And that's how I do my life. I have a list of goals, long-term, short-term. I put the dates down, what I need, and I don't stop until I check it all off. So every time I check it off, I make a new list. So we're going on our 3 to 5 year goals now. We're trying to make and try to excel the office even further from here.
I love it. I'm so proud of you and just like so appreciative of all that you pour into the boot camp, and you're killing it in the 90-day challenge. So for those of you who aren't in the boot camp, Dr. Matt, and hey, and there's Maria, Team Transformers. He is on Team Transformers. So we started the 90-day challenge a year ago and did it for 90 days just before COVID, which obviously I had no idea as Mama Boot Camp that COVID was coming. But we all decided, let's just like rock the beginning of 2020. And it worked out really, really well because everyone said so much momentum going into COVID, and practices just like Matt's like blossomed and just like grew amazingly well. And Matt now is on his second year of the 90-day challenge, and last week got 4,975 points just from doing Facebook Lives. And so we are big in the boot camp on Facebook Lives. It's a super easy way to communicate with your community. Facebook comes along and does some recruiting for you. And Matt is just out in front, and like he's the guy, like he talks about his goals, but he's also the guy when like I did this as well, and I can really see a difference in docs' offices and their enjoyment of life, of instead of second guessing what a mentor gives you instruction to do or suggests that you do, like Matt just jumps in and does it. Like, okay, what do I do next? And a few weeks ago, you and Jess and I were on the phone together, and you were asking me a question about like 2 choices that you were making, and I can always hear in your voices and almost see your minds going, all right, yeah, we can, like, I can get into that. Or instead of, like whether you argue for your limitations or your possibilities, you're right. And you guys are always in a position of possibility, opportunity, service, love. And I just give you tons and tons of credit. So, Matt, what if someone who's watching right now who, let's say they're struggling in practice, what recommendations or direction would you give them?
Overall, I mean, I guess it depends on the situation, but to give an example, actually, there's our new massage therapist we have in our office. the office that she left, there was a chiropractor that quit, and she actually came in for a massage yesterday. So I got to speak to her before I closed the office, and she's struggling right now. She's not working. She's looking. She doesn't know if she's opening her own or she's buying somebody's office. She's looking at buying someone's or being a partner, and she just feels so lost. So I actually brought you up. I said you should open your own. I talked about Dr. Barb, and that we can connect you that way. I gave her some advice on just how to connect and get a lawyer and do all the. Pretty much gave a list of what to do. Whether she's going to buy in or do her own. But really, if you're in it and you're struggling, I mean, I've been struggling since I was a child. So I had a mindset of, being uncomfortable is just my whole entire life. So I've gotten around that. I mean, my mental switch since I met you has completely turned around. I have no negative mindset whatsoever. There's nothing that comes my way. You can't feed into that darkness. I've seen that dark hole of depression before, and anything can set that off. So really, life just throws negative stuff at you all day long, and you just gotta ignore it. When you don't pay attention to it, it just goes away, and you see all the joy in things. Just like Gene said to me, all the positive things that lead you in the right direction. I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. So it was always hard to wrap my head around how to do it. I just said I'm not capable of doing. There's something wrong with me. But really, you're always going to get past everything that's going to come at you, no matter how much you level up. Even if you're a millionaire or become a billionaire, there's always challenges. There's always life throwing crap at you, and you just got to get around it. You got to not pay attention to it. So if we're in the struggle, you just got to write your goals down, and that's what I do. And you got to keep pushing towards those. How are you going to achieve that goal? You can't just write something down. You need a time frame, and then how are you going to do it? And I know you taught us that as well. And you got to have a strategy for that. So I mean, you can say there all day long you want to market and pay someone to do it, but you have to be involved too. You have to get out there. You have to meet people. You have to network in ways that sometimes you don't even realize. So you just got to keep grinding. When you have that positive mindset, you know what you want to have, you know what you want to do, and you do it. What you want is going to start happening, and you won't realize it right away. Sometimes it might take a year or two. You're like, holy cow, this is exactly what I wanted. I'm in it. But you could lose that mindset too. You take for granted what you have. But yeah, you got to keep your head in the game. Don't give up. That's my biggest thing.
I love that. And I just had typed in, hard is what we've been training for.
Yeah.
Like you just said your whole life. And it's really what we make of it. I shared in the boot camp today a challenging situation that happened. And instead I looked for this. There is a yes, even behind the stiffest no.
Yep.
Right. There's a yes somewhere. And that means too, like an objection. There's an opportunity even in every objection. We just have to be willing to look for it. We have to be willing to look for, like either learn or I win. It's one of those, but like nothing has to ever beat us down, and it's not permanent. Matt, you have a lot of fans right here. Look at your team. Talk about another superstar, Athena Payne, killing it in her practice as well. And Maria and Tanya are both doing amazing. Maria she practices overseas, has been in major lockdown again and again. And I can't remember, Maria, the stats that you just posted. I can't remember if it was you adjusted 65 your first day back today, and like 2 new practice members. So congratulations to you, and thanks for joining. Matt, let's talk about this for a second. We go to school and we're surrounded by all of these other students who are like going through pretty similar circumstances as we are, right? Like tons of schooling, and we have exams, and we have clinic, and then we have national boards, and we have relationships and all of that. And there's something to be said with going through it with others. Will you talk for a minute about our tribe? Like what has that done for you and Jessica as you've moved up, and now you're in that position of leadership in the boot camp as well? Like, how is that support and just that community? What has that fostered? Because I think there's this tendency to, when we get into practice, to reduce some retreating. Like, I don't have any money, so I can't spend any money on on coaching or mentorship or a group. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I love a sense of community. So I love the boot camp. In the beginning, I was running towards my goals. I wasn't as active because I was too nervous about everything that I was doing. But yeah, going through school, I didn't have a great atmosphere with everyone in my class. Everyone was, it was almost like you were in high school again. You know what I mean? There was little cliques, and I can't stand cliques. I was never like that. But I grew up in a family, love parties, love having people around. So I love having those connections. Even to my friends now that I went to school with that are chiropractors, I'm constantly, almost on a daily basis, annoying them, trying to connect, communicate. How are you doing? And there's no communication between anyone else. It's hard to find a group of people that, they're all in their own sorrows and in depression about their office and what do I do? And I'm like, you got to connect with someone else and figure it out. So I stopped paying attention to them and focus on the boot camp. I love this challenge. This 90-day challenge is awesome. My wife does a lot of the marketing for us. She loves doing all kind of marketing, but for herself, when she started her massage therapy office before I graduated, she has a lot of our posts. She has really good content. She's actually helping out some other chiropractic offices now with their marketing too. So, but she was heavy-handed in all of it, and I was kind of, slowly letting her do it because it's uncomfortable. I don't like Facebook Lives. I hate doing them. But
okay, so
yeah.
stop right there. Did everyone hear that? Like, this guy has done how many in the last week, Matt? Like
a lot.
A lot. And
yeah.
Did you guys hear what he said? I don't like doing them, and they're uncomfortable. So
My
why
very,
are you willing
my
to
very
go?
first one took me like 20 minutes. Just stared at the phone for a while. I'm like, what am I doing? But yeah, when it gets addicting once you start doing it and people start paying attention. Like I just posted, I think it was today or yesterday, we had a few patients communicating. I have somebody else who's not even a patient yet trying to, ask me as a request to make a Facebook Live about a question he had. So when you get that content, sorry, my phone's dying here. It gets exciting. So we just keep on trucking along at it,
And Matt, what do you tell yourself when you're faced with something that's uncomfortable? Like the Facebook Live. Like what do you remember what you were started telling yourself? Because just like I posted in the boot camp today, there's, we have our innate thinking, which is wisdom, which is always true, which is always simple. And then we have our monkey mind that gets into this whole hysteria. And like I've been talking about in the last several months in the boot camp, like the nature of mind is clear.
Yep.
The nature of mind is clear. Like just let it settle. So when you get nervous about something, what's something that you do to just like get your mind to settle so that you push through those 20 minutes to still do a Facebook Live?
I just rip the Band-Aid off. Like, got to do it, especially when it comes to marketing. Since my wife does it all, I'm like, she's going to kill me if I don't do it. So,
so you're telling me you're afraid of that little girl? I can buy into that.
She's got some spice to her,
She's so cute.
But yeah, it actually helps too, even just in our daily lives, since it puts a lot of stress on her to do a lot of marketing, and she's already a lot happier because I took that off her plate, so it makes our lives easier too. But I mean, just everything all around. Patients love it. Patients interacting. It's easier for us. I don't like being on my phone. I'm not a big person to let everyone know personally what's going on in my life, where I am, what I'm doing. So that was kind of the barrier I got to get around because I was never like that. It was internal and quiet. But yeah, I'm a big, just be uncomfortable. I've always been uncomfortable, and that's where you excel. So I kind of thrive now on that uncomfortable situation.
I love that. And to all of you, I can tell you 100% the shift that made is that Matt stopped making it about him. I had a little flashlight, but as soon as we do this and we put the flashlight on the lives that we'll be able to impact and change, then the fear goes away. It doesn't matter anymore. But when the flashlight's on us and I don't want to look dumb and I don't want people to know about my life and da 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 da.
Yeah.
We look really far and we look deep at how everyone else is going to think about us. But when we know our message is so important and so vital to the transformation of those that hear it, the fear
you
that
got to be appreciative of the people that are looking in at your stuff. Like even if it's one person, like you might not be a famous TikTok star or something like that and have millions of views, but I mean, if you have 2 people look at your video, that's 2 people that took time out of their lives to watch your stuff. And if one person came in that's in dire pain, let's say a patient that has headaches for 30 years and you change their life, I mean, that's one person's life changed. So you just got to get over that battle of your own, ignorance.
It's really that 250, right? I've seen statistics that on average, most people are connected to at least 250 others.
Oh yeah.
So we think it's one, it's
Yeah.
250. We think it's two, it's really 500, right?
Yeah.
And their life, like we don't know how, like look at Gene and Matt. Look at Tim and Matt, and look at all the lives that you're touching now because those two men were willing to take just a little bit of time to pour into you. And it's the same for all of us. So Matt, let's talk about what's Walk with the Doc.
So Walk with the Doc is, I think it's nationwide. It's all over the world. It's international, I believe. Yeah, because I know there's a branch in Italy too that we were talking about. I got into it because we made connections with. He's now retired, but Dr. Coleman is a oral surgeon in town here. His office is still up. I think his nephew's running it, but he got involved in it. It's a non-for-profit organization started by some of the hospital systems. So pretty much it could be any community. So we had the downtown community in the town over from us. We meet on the Davidson School Greens, and anyone can show up. We think we did it every 2 Saturdays or 1 Saturday a month. It depends on how often or how involved you want to be. So we just have some kind of healthcare professional. I did multiple speeches there, but we can have an RN, we can have a surgeon, a chiropractor, anyone, any healthcare professional do about 10-15 minute speech on some type of health. And then you go for a 1 to 2 mile walk with everyone that shows up. So we were doing that all last year, I think the past 2 years, except this past one because of COVID, no one would meet up. But yeah, that's international, I believe. It's a great program. So
that's super cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So Matt, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I really appreciate you joining me, and as always, sharing your knowledge, sharing your love, sharing your connection, like just like so abundantly and so freely. And congratulations to you and Jessica for really just blowing it out of the water. It's always, Matt's really, really sweet about like, he'll hit a big victory or big milestone and he'll message me and I can just like, I can feel his message, the excitement. And so I really appreciate you sharing this whole journey with me, with the boot camp, and now with everyone else. So keep up the great work. You're making a huge difference.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. God bless you all. Have a wonderful night. And please share this so one other person can be inspired.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Good.